How you going, everyone? This is LUCIUS BORICH for drummer for COG, and we're playing the Thrashville Festival on I think it's the 9th, Saturday, September. And yeah, I'm joining Kris here for a bit of a Zoom meeting, a bit of a chat.
Beautiful, Lucius. Thanks for joining us today. Always a pleasure, mate.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
As you mentioned, my man, in a couple of weeks, COG will be heading to Thrashville Festival alongside Mammal as co-headliners for 2 days of live music on September 8th and 9th. Pretty much in the middle of nowhere, mate. Like, what could go wrong?
Yeah, perfect for us. I mean, we love the great outdoors. I don't know, maybe it comes from watching that show, The Leyland Brothers, when we were younger or something. But and there's also a little bit of that, touring a lot. Back in the day, we would go to a lot of different places that were not just in the cities as well. So, we all love, kind of like getting off grid, so to speak, and just connecting with nature and getting out there. And I think to play the music in that kind of environment's pretty is pretty good. It's a right fit, and we've always been pretty inspired by just the natural realm, and I think that is infused in a lot of our music as well. So it looks like it's going to be a good spot.
Yeah, it is, man. Like, you guys have got a well-deserved reputation of being one of the best live bands out there, but how good is it going to be playing in the countryside like that? As you say, there's no noise restrictions, just you guys, nature, and fans. Like, you're going to be able to cut sick.
Yeah, we'll just do what we love to do best, I guess, and hopefully the power will stay on and the generators won't break and all that stuff, and we'll be able to get through the set unscathed and just have a really top night. I think it's a to do more of those kind of community based gigs in those environments and help the music industry in those areas, in those regions. Bring some quality music to those parts of Australia is a much needed thing, and we love doing it if it's right, that the dates are right, and the timing's right. We're all about it. We love doing that.
And of course, it's not just yourselves and Mammal playing. You've also got a host of Australian bands like CIVIC, Shady, Nasty, Downgirl, Wildheart, Crocodylus, and more. Like, how good is it just to have an Australian festival again? Like, there's not too many of them these days.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, post-COVID too, to some degree, all the bands are the overseas bands. If you just look at it from that perspective for a minute, and they're all coming over here, and then all of a sudden the attention's on them because obviously, no one's been able to see a lot of the overseas bands for some time. I was thinking about it this morning that it although it's a good thing and it's nice to have the other bands from overseas that we know and love come here, and we can go and watch them and whatnot. But I think too, money's quite tight around this time at this post-COVID era, so to speak, and a lot of people kind of save their money, and maybe they just not too interested in seeing the Australian kind of acts, but they'll save it for those bigger festivals, which have all the international bands on it. So I think I would strongly encourage Australians and people who love Australian music to support the local scene and support local bands and festivals, because if that music ecosystem goes under, and it's really fragile at the moment. Ticket sales across the board are down. So yeah, it's important that we have Australian festivals that are just local with the local and bands and stuff like that, and support them strongly. So we've got some type of a good healthy Australian festival situation, continuing on for bands to come through and grow and play and move on with their careers, so to speak. So yeah, hopefully some of the big international kind of things don't just take away in terms of the purse strings that, you know, the pocket money people have, and you know, it can be divided somewhat evenly, I guess.
Yeah, so it's a hard balancing act, isn't it?
What's that?
Hard balancing act.
Yeah, well, it is now, because, you know, we're everyone's kind of suffering with the inflation and the aftermath damage and of the, well, which is still going. You know, it only seems to be getting worse. So I can understand that. You know, everyone's got to put their money where they need to put it, which is going to support, you know, the health of themselves and their family first. That's totally understandable. But yeah, we want to, if we can strongly support a lot of these festivals, the local ones, the regional ones, the community ones, that's really important. You know, the smaller ones, the more boutique ones. I just did one about probably 3 weeks ago. Oh yeah, maybe 3 weeks ago in Bulla. What was it called? Bulla. It was like, I think it was an hour and a half kind of southwest of Rockhampton. So for me, that's like about a 9-hour drive time. And yeah, it was a boutique festival. We've been doing it for years. It was more of a kind of country blues rock kind of festival. It was only about 500-600 people, but it was a really great little community festival. Really great vibe. And you know, they're in a lot of those little regions, you know, around, and I was playing with a group of guys who are really good at what they do. Marshall is a blues player, and he got me in to do a show just for the night, because his drummer couldn't do it. So yeah, it was you know, it was kind of in the middle of nowhere, a little bit like the Thrasher Festival, and it was really great. It was really fun, you know. So yeah, it's good to support those things. Really good, and it might be a little bit kind of like, oh, you know, it's a 3-day event. A lot of these kind of, you know, little bush stuffs kind of, you know, they're like, you got to go camping and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of prepping to do and whatnot. But I think when you get there and you ground and you get amongst it, it's like, oh, I'm so glad we did that. You know, this is, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And is it a coincidence, mate, that COG and Mammal are on the same festival lineup again? Like, you guys seem to pop up, got a bit of a history of playing together.
Yeah, like it's been actually, it's been quite some time, I think, in between drinks playing, but I can't remember the last time.
Last time was at a festival at CIVIC in Brisbane.
Okay. Yeah, and I haven't spoke to Pete for a while, the guitar player. I speak to him off and on. But yeah, I mean, you know, it'll be, you know, they bring a great show, so yeah, it'll be. I mean, to have them on the bill is really good too.
I asked Zeke this same question, but you're both bands that have got strong political and social views. So you sometimes avoid catching up for drinks and chats after the shows because you might clash on things.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, there's a big broad spectrum, you know, when it comes to the social narrative of the political realm and how everybody individually sees it, because there's so many different arms of propaganda and different streams of information that can confuse a lot of people. And if you're not in the right stream, what is the right stream? You know, as well. You know, like what are you striving for? What are you trying to achieve, or what are you trying to understand, or what are you trying to decipher? Because seems to be a very, you know, there's this saying called the Ministry of Truth, and that more comes from the kind of elitist kind of mainstream media branch, which anything through us is actually true, you know, and that's the real truth. But in actual fact, that's probably the complete opposite. So you want to, you know, go somewhere else and try and find some different alternative, you know, information sources. And but even those can be corrupted and co-opted, and you can have misinformation. And you know, I think there's with COG and a band like Mammal, yeah, speaking out on certain issues and certain things. You know, I think there's definitely a common thread there between the two bands or any other bands that have, you know, an interest in those type of topics and things like that. But then there's probably things that we don't kind of agree with as well, you know. But I mean, that can be a lot to do with your own journey, you know, with what you've gone through, what you've experienced, and what you understand and know. And you know, you can't expect anybody else to really, you know, kind of see your point of view to some degree. You can always debate it or have some type of a, you know, philosophical kind of conversation about it and things like that. But I think if you're leading through, you know, from the heart first, and you know, you're trying to, you know, just understand the world and nature around you, you know, that's a good thing. And I think both bands, to some degree, have you know, really tried to, you know, have a look at the playing field when it comes to you know, the political realm of what we're all involved in, whether you like it or not. And just try to, you know, bring the best game that we can to somehow leave the world in a better place, or just get people aware and active, and you know, bring it back to what I like. I like this guy, Dr. Shiva, who's an Indian guy who kind of started email. He actually invented email back in the day when he was 14, and he was born in a caste system in India, and he's really quite fascinating to listen to, and he brings a perspective of a bottoms up movement, meaning, you know, any of these not so obvious establishments that you think are saying and doing the right thing, you know, are more Pied Pipers, in, you know, and you know, we've got to kind of continually bring things from the bottom, you know, the people who do all the work, who actually do build things, create things, and keep the you know, the cultural system together in some respect, you know, the civilized society together in some respect. It's us. It's not any of these, you know, not so obvious establishment, you know, elitists who have an arm in each wing of the political realm for their own benefit, you know. So I think both bands would really agree on that. To self-manage yourself, be, you know, somewhat have a sense of sovereignty and responsibility, and you know, bringing it from a communal perspective of organizing and making sure we manage what we can in our space and time, and take care of it, and we don't give it up to, you know, bigger political you know, governments and authorities and whatnot, is a very important foundation, I think. And that, you know, I like that saying that Shiva says, you know, like truth, freedom, and health, from those perspectives, and those, you know, is a great kind of like a banner to work with and move forward with. Yeah, and it's just an interesting place, you know. I mean, when you're involved in life, and you're involved in the system that we have, and we're all involved in, whether we like it or not, and trying to just manage it the best we can, so we can benefit and have a good life as best as we can for us and our children, you know.
Now, I've heard a whisper that COG might be working on a new song, mate. So is that potentially going to be ready for Thrashville?
For Thrashville, no. Nice try. No, look, we've got. I mean, I've got the I've got my new studio, Key Sound Studios in Byron. So that's a good little HQ for us to kind of get together and start to cultivate ideas. We jammed on the weekend, and we all of a sudden, you know, we always get together before we start playing the set, and we start jamming on stuff, you know, and things just start coming out, and we're pressing the iPhones and you know, quick, did you record that part? Did you record that part? So, you know, there's a little bit of messing around there, and a little bit of fun messing around with jamming and stuff, just to warm up before we kind of do the set, and you know, they'll eventually hopefully turn into things. For us, it's always, you know, it's been because we're self-managed and we're self-funded, and we've all got different businesses and families. It's a timing thing is quite to try and find the right timing to get things done is really ultra challenging. The intention's there to want to do things and bring things together. Having gigs is a great excuse, obviously to get back together in the room, and that feels fantastic. And we've got this one song that's it's in the ballpark of somewhat 80-90% finished or whatever. And I think after this show, this Thrasher Festival, we'll try and spend a bit more time trying to get that one wrapped up, because we've had it there for quite some time. And I think, given the challenges that we've all gone through over in the last, 6 to 8 months, a year or whatever, when it comes to COVID, or it comes to, the floods that happened around here, and myself, moving my family and around, and Flynn moving around, and just everything else. Everything's just been super, super challenging to kind of like just, focus just on the music and get that done. We just haven't had the time, because there's just been not only, environmental things that have happened around where we live. The floods were devastating. We had 2 massive floods, and that was really full on. And then the whole COVID thing too, so for us, that was, I ended up getting a factory job because I couldn't work in music capacity like I always have. And, that was pretty full on, and I had to kind of reroute things there. But and everyone else in the band had a similar experience to some degree. So it's just been like super challenging to try and nail that down, But hopefully towards the end of the year, I think we'll have something out, maybe. I'll do my utmost best to try and keep cranking the cog, pardon the pun. Greasing the wheel. That's
about as much of a commitment as we can expect from you, mate. So thanks.
Yeah, just know that there is somewhat of an intentional commitment to get. It's not like we don't want to do it. That's for sure. So
along those lines, mate, like you guys are a band who've never really rushed songs out just for the sake of rushing them out. You've always taken time and wait until you've had something to say. Like, how big of a role do you think that's played in your success? The fact that you could easily just keep pumping it out, but it wouldn't be COG, really, would it, if you did?
It definitely wouldn't. I think you have to have a certain amount of experience in your life too to be able to bring some story to the table that you want to say. Like at the moment, I feel that if we were to look at things from a psychological, political perspective and where things are at, it's at the moment for myself, it's more about observing where the chips are falling, and then having something to say on that, because there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So to be the observer and just look around your environment and seeing what's being said, then if you wanted to speak about certain issues or certain things, you could have something to say on the back of that, and we always have I guess something to say to some degree. But I think life's experiences too, you have to give yourself a bit of time to because you change in life as a human being, which is a good thing to some degree, and hopefully you get wiser, and then you can bring something to the table story-wise that's, a true reflection of where you're at and what you're experiencing, in an artistic sense. Bring it through the artistic medium. So, we've never really, to some degree, wanted to rush things. And I think, to create good art, you have to be kind of like all focused at the same time, and very, very, have that intention really quite, set strong. So, we're not one for just kind of pumping stuff out just for the sake of getting likes, or, it's got to be good. If not better than the last stuff you've done, if you've set a benchmark for yourself too, I think it's important to, to somewhat hold that benchmark. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, or, you know, you can't please everybody from, you know, in terms of what you create artistically, but at least it can be a true reflection of where you are and what you feel and how you want music to come out. So, you know, when the timing's right, the timings will be right, I guess, you know. But we don't get I'm probably the most impatient out of the three of us, and I have a hard time with that. But that's been my nature as a boy. But I think that's always been how I've gotten stuff done. You know, I'm quite driven, you know, and I'm kind of more like the, you know, to some degree, kick the door in kind of a guy. And that can be to my detriment sometimes, and I've learned some valuable lessons there. But the other two are pretty patient, very patient. So it's too patient for me. But then at the end of the day, that's part of the beautiful lesson that they've taught me, you know, as well.
But I do know that you have got something special going on with some vinyl that fans can wrap themselves around.
Yeah, speaking of patience, we've all had to be patient with that one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we parted ways with our record company in the start of the year, so we got all our masters back. So the new normal and sharing space, and then we can kind of do and you know, utilize it the way we want to, and it's up to us taking full responsibility of it all. So, which was, you know, after a 20-odd year period, felt fantastic. You know, I guess get back what you know, you spend all that time and creative energy doing over the years. You know, from buying albums and being in the vinyl space as you know, growing aspiring musicians and listeners when we were younger. So it just made sense to make it quality and not cheapen out, and you know, bring something of value like vinyl to the table again, because I think there's a tangible relationship with vinyl which can make the, you know, the experience become more valuable, because, you know, the person who's kind of having that experience with the vinyl is really engaging, and, you know, putting the needle on the turntable, taking it out, and, you know, sitting, you know, so it's so much more of a lack of a better term, kind of ritual kind of experience, or an integration of an experience with the music that I think it gives the music more value, because you're participating with your energy. You know, it takes energy to lift the needle off the turntable. It takes energy to pull it out of the rack, to, you know, put it away nicely, you know, so it doesn't get scratched. You know, there's a care. You know, there's a you've saved your pennies through the week so you can go to the record store, and, you know, like I used to do, and get on the bus for an hour and go into the city and walk the city for, you know, 6 hours and you know, try and find records in the record store. I mean, that's why I love bands and music, because there was a connection there. And I think that's what we've lost. And I think that's why there is you know, obviously there's a certain resurgence in finding music and listening. And I think that's because people are looking for that tangible relationship with the music to bring them closer to the people who make it, and you know, the vibrational experience of that. You know, so it's I think it was the guitarist, Steve, is his name Steve? Luke, yeah, from Toto, I think. A great guitarist from Toto. So a lot of the music's just Mick music now. You know, it's just, you know, it's like drive-through music or something. It's, you know, musicians can be a bit more precious, because obviously they spend a lot more time with it, and, you know, they can hold it in a slightly different light, or be a bit more sensitive to some degree. But I think he's right. You know, to say it's. You know, there is a sense of the relationship that's been lost with the music and you know, the public to some degree. And I think the vinyl really brings that back. And you get, when I used to get the albums and I used to look at them and I used to, read the liner notes and read the lyrics, and it was, how do you do that on a tiny? It's like, and now you go into to look into some of the credits or something in some of the digital realms, and there's nothing there. There's no where it was made, where it was, what studio, what producer, what engineer, mixer, what was, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of that stuff's being lost. But anyway, look, I'm probably chuffing off on a tangent, but like I always do.
I was about to say that.
But it's like, just wrap it up, will you? But anyway, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think our fans and the people who like our music will really enjoy it, and it's done with quality too. We haven't kind of skipped out. With that's why it's 3 vinyl. Like each album is a 3 vinyl, so you get the maximum benefit of the sonic value of it as well. So that's a good thing. And they're on pre-sale order at the moment. And we hopefully want to do like a next year, hopefully possibly a vinyl run tour to celebrate those 2 albums. Because we put a lot of time and energy into it, and there's been a lot of it's just a lot of work, that we want to kind of again experience with our fans in that capacity.
Oh, mate, the last thing we'll talk about is you've mentioned your studios, Keynote Studios, a few times, mate. Like, I know you've put a lot of work into it.
It's not Keynote. Everyone says Keynote. It's fascinating. I can say Key Sound Studios probably 3 or 4 times, and then people go, Keynote. How's Keynote Studio? It's not Keynote. Although Keynote's a good thing, but it's Key Sound. Key Sound Studio.
We'll start that again.
What's that?
We'll start that question again then. So
yeah.
We've spoken a couple of times about your studio, Key Sound Studios, mate. So tell us a bit more about that. I know you've got it up and running, ready for the public, just about.
Yeah. It's been I pretty much had it going up and running for about 4 months now. I've had the warehouse for about 6 months. So I had to wait for the builders and all the materials and everything, and put it all together, and that took a little bit to kind of get happening, like now it's it's operating well, and I've had a few bands come through, and had a band called Red Sands come in, which I played drums on their track, and I'm producing their track for them. They're kind of a band I used to play with back in the day when I was in Flynn and I were in the Hanging Tree. They've come in, and they're doing some music, or a couple other bands and some other kind of projects waiting in the wings as well to kind of jump in there. So it's slowly getting up and running, and it's exciting for me, because I've always loved that side of it, that space, that creating place to kind of put music together in the recording studio. So to kind of put one together made a lot of sense. I've had a lot of experience over many, many years, so it was just a natural progression, kind of moving into that vein. So it's right in Byron. Byron's industrial estate there, and great environment around there and stuff. So really, really happy so far at the moment. Yeah, it's good.
Where can people find out more information about it, or maybe book in to see you?
Yeah, I've got the website, just keysoundstudios.com, and then there's an Instagram page as well, and a Facebook page. I probably use the Instagram page the most. But yeah, I'm just, if the music's right and the band's right, and I enjoy what I'm hearing, and people want to work, with me, we just work together on things and get things done, in the sonic realm. It's a fun place to be.
Fantastic. Now, before we let you go, mate, I've started 3 new Spotify playlists through Heavy, like by speaking to the bands, and I want you to give me one for each playlist, one of your own songs. So we need one to get the party started. We need one to potentially.
Do you mean a COG song?
Yeah, a COG song. Yep. So one to get the party started, one to save your marriage, and one that it could potentially end your marriage.
But they've all got to be COG songs.
Yeah, they're all got to be COG songs.
Okay, so what was the first one? Get the party started.
Get party started. Yep.
Get the party started. Oh, okay. Got me there. Get the party started. It's not much of a party. I can't think of one. Get the party started, yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking about the ending of the marriage one. That's the one that's kind of irking me the most. Well, my wife's a big fan of all the music, all the songs. So I don't think there's any song there that would in the marriage. So that one's out of the question. That one.
Okay.
What was the other one?
Save your marriage.
Save your marriage. Oh, that would have to be Bird of Feather, wouldn't it? I'm only trying to make it better.
Yeah, that'll do.
Oh, get this party started. Okay, look, I like the I think there's those in No Other Way and Problem Reaction Solution. There's kind of like a nice straight dance groove that goes on. Yeah. Open Up's pretty good, actually. Now I think of it, I mean, that's not one of our songs, though, is it? Like we've tried. Can I use that one?
Yeah, go on.
So that's a get your party started kind of throbbing 4-beat kind of ching 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 ching. Yeah, burn Hollywood burn. That's pretty fucking good.
That'll do.
That one's for Johnny Lydon.
If you can remember. All right, Lucius. Well, thanks very much for your time, bro. It's been a pleasure as always. Speak with you, mate. I'm going to drive down for Thrashville, so I'll catch up with you there.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Good to see you again. Thank you.
Yeah, mate. Thanks
for having us, mate.
For the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, mate. See ya.